He never knocked. He just showed up before dawn, shovel in hand, and cleared the widow's driveway like a ghost until the morning. The front door swung open, and a woman's voice cut through the frost.
Hey, who are you? What are you doing on my grandmother's driveway?
I was just clearing the snow. I didn't mean to bother anyone.
You've been doing this all winter. I've seen the tracks. Why? Who are you?
It's nothing. I have to go.
Number. You are not leaving until you tell me who you are. Do you know my grandmother?
Please. It's not. I don't want any trouble. She doesn't even know me.
Before she could stop him, he turned and hurried into the swirling snow. Olivia stood on the cold porch, watching his silhouette disappear, with no name and 1,000 questions. Inside, the warmth of the fire and the scent of tea greeted her, but Olivia's mind was still on the freezing porch.
Grandma, there was a man outside. He was shoveling our driveway. I think he's been doing it all winter.
A man? Shoveling? Well, that's very kind of him, isn't it?
You didn't know? You never saw him? Not once?
I don't keep my eyes on the driveway, dear. The snow just disappears each morning.
But Olivia noticed her grandmother didn't ask what the man looked like, or when he'd been coming, or why he'd do it.
I'm going to find out who he is. Tomorrow morning I'll wait for him.
Please be careful, Olivia. Don't go confronting strangers in the dark.
Don't worry, Grandma. I just want to thank him and ask a few questions.
That night, she sat by the frosty window, watching the empty driveway, determined to catch the ghost who cleared the snow. The next snow came 3 days later, heavy and silent in the pre-dawn dark. Through the frosty glass, Olivia saw a figure trudging up the driveway, shovel over his shoulder.
Wait, please. I just want to talk. Here, let me pay you for all you've done.
I don't want your money. I have to go.
Then tell me why you are doing it. Who are you? Does my grandmother know you?
He didn't answer, but for a second, his face broke with something older than cold, a grief he was trying to bury in the snow. He turned and walked away faster, the shovel clattering against the frozen ground. Olivia followed, keeping to the shadows of the bare trees, but he was too quick. By the time she reached the corner, he had vanished into the maze of side streets.
No name, no reason, just a man carrying pain like a shovel. I have to know why.
She couldn't let it go. That afternoon, she walked to the nearest neighbor's porch and knocked.
Hi, I'm staying with my grandmother Dorothy. Do you know the man who's been shoveling her driveway?
The neighbor gave her a name that landed like a chill, Kevin, and a detail. He only shoveled Dorothy's driveway, no one else's. Olivia returned to find Dorothy in the living room, a worn photo album open on her lap.
Grandma, I found out his name is Kevin. Does that mean anything to you?
Kevin. There was a boy that age who used to live on Cedar Street. He lost his grandmother one winter. She raised him.
Lost his grandmother. How?
I don't know the whole story, but I remember hearing he was never quite the same after that.
So the ghost on my grandmother's driveway is carrying the memory of his own grandmother. No wonder he looked so broken.
She had a name now, and a wound to match. But the full truth was still buried under the snow, waiting to be cleared. The next snow came before dawn, and Olivia was already on the porch, arms crossed against the cold. Kevin appeared through the flurries, shovel on his shoulder, and halted the moment he saw her.
Kevin, I know your name. I know about your grandmother. Is that why you've been coming here every snowfall?
His jaw tightened. Without a word, he shoved the blade into the snow and started working as if she weren't there.
Please, just stop for 1 second. I am not trying to hurt you. I just want to understand.
He didn't stop. His movements became faster, more frantic, the shovel scraping like something trying to dig its way out. She reached out and grabbed the wooden handle, forcing the blade still.
You don't understand. None of this is. It's not about what you think.
Then, help me understand. Please, Kevin, Tell me what it is about.
The cold air filled with the weight of a story that had been buried too long. The shovel stayed frozen between them. He took a breath, so deep it seemed to pull the cold into his lungs, then finally let the words break through.
My grandmother raised me. 2 winters ago, while I was away, she tried to shovel her own driveway, and she died.
His voice cracked, but he didn't look away. The image of a lonely house buried in snow hung between them.
When I see this house, I see her. I can't let it happen again. I can't let another old woman slip because no one cared.
Kevin, I am so sorry, and I feel so guilty. I barely visit my own grandmother. I should be the one shoveling.
Her words broke on the last syllable, and the tears she'd been holding finally spilled down her cold cheeks.
It's not the same. You are here now. That matters more than you know.
I've been so focused on my life in the city. I forgot that she's here all alone. You reminded me of everything I've been missing.
In the hush of the snowfall, 2 strangers stood on either side of the same ache, no longer so distant. But as the quiet settled, one question remained untouched. How much did Dorothy already know about the ghost clearing her path?
Don't carry that guilt. Your grandmother. I've seen her humming by the window, waving at no one. She's happy, and in the summer, she waters those flower pots like she's scolding them. The little things, they've been enough for me.
You've been watching her all this time, not just shoveling. That's incredibly sweet.
She reminds me that life goes on, that quiet kindness still exists. I am not looking for anything more.
He asks for nothing. No payment, no thanks. Just the chance to make sure it doesn't happen again.
For the first time since she'd caught him, Kevin didn't edge toward the street. He leaned the shovel against the porch and stayed.
I've been away so long, I didn't know she hummed. Thank you for giving me a reason to pay better attention.
Maybe this winter, she'll have 2 people watching over her, if that's okay with you.
She nodded, and for a long moment they just stood in the quiet snow gathering on their shoulders like a blessing. But inside the warm house, Dorothy was still waiting. And maybe she had been waiting for exactly this all along. Olivia slipped inside, cheeks flushed from the cold, and found Dorothy in her armchair, a shawl drawn close as if she'd been waiting.
Grandma, I talked to him. His name is Kevin, and he lost his grandmother the same way he's been trying to protect you.
Dorothy lifted a tissue to her eye, her breath catching in a soft, unsteady way.
That poor boy. I always wondered why the snow vanished so quietly. I wanted to do something in return.
You wanted to do something? Like what?
I've been leaving a cup of hot cocoa on the step each morning. I thought it might be a little winter magic.
Olivia's gaze dropped. That cup of cocoa. She had seen it on the step, steam rising into the frozen air, and never once thought to ask.
You've been leaving cocoa for him every morning? And he just took it and never said anything?
I never saw him take it. But the cup was always empty by the time I checked. That was enough, thanks for me.
But as Olivia stared at the empty mug still sitting on the counter, a quiet suspicion settled in her chest. The cocoa wasn't just gratitude. It was a quiet invitation.
Grandma, did you know it was Kevin leaving the cocoa? Did you know about his grandmother before I told you?
I only suspected, dear. A neighbor mentioned a young man early in the mornings. I put cocoa out just in case.
But her grandmother's reply came with a careful distance, as if she'd rehearsed the lines and was waiting for Olivia to hear the rest. The next frosty dawn, Olivia found Kevin already working, the shovel throwing white arcs into the gray light.
Kevin, did you know my grandmother has been leaving you cocoa on the step every morning? Did you ever see it?
Cocoa. I never saw any cocoa. I just come, shovel, and leave before anyone wakes up.
He looked genuinely baffled. Not the face of a man hiding a secret, but one who had been too lost in his own ritual to notice. So Dorothy had been leaving cocoa for a ghost who never received it, or she had another purpose entirely.
She's been weaving this whole winter, thread by thread, and I walked right into it without seeing the loom.
Olivia didn't know all of it yet, but one thing was clear. Her grandmother had been quietly lighting a path between her and the man with the shovel. That evening, Olivia set the empty mug on the coffee table and just waited.
All those stories about a kind young man that was Kevin, and you planned this.
I hoped you'd meet. I never spoke to him, but I left Coco and prayed.
So the cocoa was bait, and all winter, you've been quietly matchmaking.
I only opened a door, child. The rest was the two of you walking through it.
Her grandmother's eyes were tired but unashamed, holding a loneliness that had become too heavy to carry alone.
I feel manipulated, Grandma. But I also see you've been trapped in this house, watching life happen outside.
Then, don't let the door close. Whatever happens next, it's yours to decide.
She gambled with my heart, but maybe she was betting on the right thing.
Outside, snow began to fall again, as if the world was still waiting to see how it would end. The next frosty morning, Olivia found Kevin finishing the driveway, his shovel scraping the last patch of ice.
Kevin, the cocoa you never saw, my grandmother wasn't leaving it for a ghost. She knew someone was shoveling.
He lowered the shovel, confusion knitting his brow as a shadow of hurt crept in.
So all winter, I was part of some plan? I only did this because of my grandmother, not for whatever this is.
No. It was never about a scheme. My grandmother she's lonely. She wanted to thank you. That's all.
He stared at the snow, jaw tight, but the anger was already melting into something more fragile.
I just wanted to keep her safe. That's all. No hidden motive, no reward.
I believe you. And nothing, not her cocoa, not any scheme, can taint what you've done. You are genuine.
The tension in his shoulders eased just a fraction, as if her words had lifted a weight he didn't know he carried. But one question still hung between them, unspoken. What else had Dorothy been planning all this time? She found Dorothy in the same armchair, her tea gone cold, waiting for the verdict.
He knows about the cocoa, and he's hurt, Grandma. He thinks it was a scheme.
Dorothy's face crumpled, the fragile composure she'd worn all winter finally cracking.
I only wanted you to meet a good man. You are so alone, and I couldn't bear it anymore.
She wasn't asking for forgiveness. She was just telling the truth at last.
I know, Grandma, but you should have told me. He and I, we're not puppets.
The anger was still there, but it was wrapped in something softer now.
You are right. But I couldn't watch you drift away. I had to try something.
If I tell him the whole truth now, it could break everything before it even starts.
So she made a choice she wasn't proud of. She would keep the rest hidden, at least for now. The next snow fell quiet and steady, and Olivia met him at the driveway with a shovel of her own.
You don't have to do this.
I want to. Besides, it's about time I started pulling my weight.
They worked in easy silence, the scrape of metal on ice the only sound, as if the cold had finally given them permission to just be. Afterwards, they collapsed on the porch steps, and she handed him a thermos of steaming cocoa.
You know, I'd like to thank her in person one day. Meet Dorothy, I mean.
Oh, she's been under the weather lately. Maybe next week.
He lowered the cup, his brow creasing, but he didn't push. The lies settled into the air between them, heavier than the snowflakes. She'd bought herself a little more time, but the secret was growing roots, twisting deeper with every word she didn't say. The afternoon sun cast long shadows when Dorothy finally broke the silence.
You are keeping something from that boy, Olivia, and it's eating you alive.
I am just protecting him. What he doesn't know won't hurt him, and we're not. It's not serious.
A relationship built on secrets is a house on ice. One warm day, and it all cracks.
You are one to talk. You started this whole secret, Grandma.
The words cut, but Dorothy didn't flinch. She just nodded, a deep sadness in her eyes.
I know. And I am sorry for that. But the longer you wait, the harder it will be for both of you.
I'll tell him. Just not yet. When I am sure, when it feels safe, I promise.
Dorothy reached over and squeezed her hand, but the look in her eyes warned that the safe time never comes. She'd made a promise she wasn't sure she could keep, and the snow outside just kept falling, patient and silent. The next morning, Olivia stood frozen by the window, watching Kevin work through the falling snow. When he finished and noticed the empty porch, he walked toward the house, his steps hesitant.
You've been disappearing even when you are standing right here. What's going on?
She cracked the door open, just enough to face him, but her voice emerged thin and trembling.
Kevin, there's something I haven't told you about my grandmother and the cocoa.
Kevin's hand paused on the railing. He looked at her, waiting for the rest.
Actually, forget it. It's nothing. I am just tired. Can we talk later?
She avoided his eyes, her knuckles white around the doorframe.
You are a coward, Olivia. He deserves the truth. You are losing him anyway.
But she closed the door instead and slid down against it, tears finally coming. The snow outside muffled every sound but her own quiet breaking. From her bedroom window, Dorothy watched Olivia slide down the door, and something inside her hardened into resolve. She wrote, "Dear Kevin, thank you for every snowfall you've cleared. Please stop by for cocoa after you shovel. I'd like to meet you." She folded it twice and, before dawn, slipped it under the windshield wiper of Kevin's old truck. An hour later, Olivia stood in the kitchen, stirring 2 mugs of hot cocoa. With a trembling but hopeful hand, she found him on the driveway, just as he finished, his breath fogging the cold air.
I know I've been terrible lately. Let me make it up with your favorite cocoa.
You weren't terrible. Just far away. I missed the you who argued with me in the snow.
For the first time in days, she laughed, a small, fragile sound that felt like a crack in the ice. He bumped her shoulder gently, and together they watched the snow begin to fall again, but less than 20 feet away, tucked under the wiper of his truck. Dorothy's note sat silent, waiting to change everything. Kevin walked toward his truck, the cocoa still warming his stomach, when a white speck on the windshield stopped him cold. He pulled the note from the wiper, the paper stiff with cold, and unfolded it carefully. He read silently, "Thank you for all you do. Please come in for cocoa after you shovel. I'd like to meet you. Dorothy." His brow creased. Dorothy wanted to meet him, but Olivia had said she was unwell.
Olivia told me her grandmother was under the weather. Why would she lie about something like that?
He looked at the house, its windows glowing warm. The same house he'd served for months with no questions.
What else has she been keeping from me?
He folded the note and tucked it into his coat pocket, the warmth of the cocoa now gone. He'd been content with a silent purpose. Now, he needed real answers. The next time he saw Olivia, he wouldn't let the lies slide. The secret was cracking open. The next morning, Kevin arrived earlier than usual. Dorothy was already on the porch, a table set with 2 steaming mugs. He recognized the handwriting from the note.
You must be Kevin. I am Dorothy. Please sit. I owe you an apology for all the scheming.
He couldn't move. His hands hung at his sides, the shovel still clenched in one fist, as if it were the only solid thing left.
I've been leaving Coco for months, telling Olivia about a kind young man. I just wanted her to meet someone worthy.
Before he could respond, the door opened and Olivia stepped out. She stopped dead, her face draining of color.
Kevin. Grandma? What is happening here? What did you tell him?
I've told him everything, dear. The cocoa, the stories, my meddling. It's all out now.
Kevin turned toward Olivia, his eyes hard and wounded, a look she'd never seen before, and she felt the ground shift beneath her.
You knew about this. You knew she was scheming, and you lied to me? All those times?
The 3 of them stood frozen in the falling snow, the truth finally laid bare between them, and no one knew what to say next. Kevin broke the silence first, his voice raw with betrayal.
I thought what I was doing was pure, just for my grandmother. Now it feels like I was a piece in someone else's plan.
That's not true. The only lie was me not telling you. Every moment we shared was real, Kevin.
Dorothy lowered her head, letting them speak without interruption. Her hands folded in her lap.
Why didn't you just tell me? I would have understood. Maybe. But the constant lies, Olivia.
Because I was terrified. I finally had something genuine, and I didn't want to lose it by admitting it started with a setup.
He looked at her, and beneath the anger, she saw the fear of being hurt again.
I need to know if what I felt was real, or if it was all arranged. I need time to figure that out on my own.
He set the shovel against the porch with a heavy finality and walked away without looking back. Olivia watched him go, the snow blurring his figure into a ghost again, while Dorothy's quiet sigh mingled with the wind. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, Kevin stood on the frosty step. No shovel this time, just his hands shoved into his coat pockets, waiting.
I spent all night thinking. I had to separate the meddling from what actually happened. The hours we talked, the cocoa, the snow, that was real.
Every moment was real, Kevin. I am sorry I lied. No more secrets.
Then we start fresh. From this snow forward, no more lies. If you still want this, I am here.
I want it. I want you. All of it, for real this time.
He pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair, the cold air around them suddenly gone. Through the window, Dorothy pressed a hand to the glass, tears of joy carving pathways down her cheeks as she watched. Her scheming had worked, not because she'd forced it, but because she'd given two lonely hearts a quiet place to meet in the falling snow. And when the next snow came, there were 2 shovels leaning against the porch and 2 cups of cocoa waiting on the step. The kind young man who cleared the widow's driveway all winter had finally found his way inside. Through the rest of winter, 2 shovels scraped the driveway side by side, and the silence between them filled with easy conversation. After each snowfall, they'd collapse on the porch chairs, 2 steaming mugs on the little table between them. Inside, Dorothy would look up from her knitting and smile, the click of needles a quiet rhythm of contentment. Evenings were for shared dinners, laughter bouncing off walls that hadn't heard it in years.
Kevin, you are terrible at charades, but you make up for it with that smile.
Hey, I got snow shovel in the first round. That's a gift.
My darlings, you've turned this old house into a home again.
Then spring crept in, melting the snow, and crocuses pushed through the soil. Kevin's truck still appeared, snow or not. He'd come just to sit on the porch with Coco, or help Dorothy in the garden, with Olivia laughing beside them. The widow's driveway was never empty again. One winter evening, long after the snow had stopped falling, the 3 of them gathered around the fire.
I never thought a shovel could lead to this.
Outside, the world was still and white, but inside, the old house breathed with laughter and the soft click of knitting needles.
I didn't just open a door. I built a whole new house.
Some of the best things begin as a small kindness, a shoveled driveway, a cup of cocoa left in the snow, and sometimes grandmothers know exactly what they're doing, even when they pretend otherwise. The driveway stayed clear that winter and every winter after, because 2 people made sure of it, and the widow's home was never lonely again. The snow kept falling, soft and eternal, as it always does in that little town. But for the first time in many winters, it felt like a blessing, not a burden.